Aloha and welcome to my first Excel tutorial. Today we are going to look at array functions and how to use them using a weekly budget. So when you do your budget, if you can see right here, we want to find the wages for 12/15. So right here I have my budget, and obviously you would put in your own numbers right here. So let's say you budget to make $500. You could do that. And then you could add all the rest of the numbers down here. So when we do the actual, over here I have all the transactions that we want to put into the actual numbers for the budget. And so when we do this, we want to see, okay, on 12/15 did I have any wages? And you want to search through these transactions and find if you had wages on that day. So to do this, you could either use sum ifs, but today I'm going to teach you how to do array functions. So let's start with the expenditures category first, and I think the best way to teach you is just to do it. So this is going to be the formula, and then I'll explain the formula afterwards. So equals sum, and so, before we do this, let's name our ranges. So we want the categories, we want the dates, and we want the inflows and outflows to be named so that we can get the numbers we want. So we'll name this date. We'll name this range category. Undo. We'll name this category. And we'll name this inflow. And we'll name this outflow. So now it'll just be easy to access those ranges. Okay, so now we can make our array function. So equals sum, and we want the date to equal this. Let's add another bracket. And then we're going to multiply that by the category. Category equals this, because that's what we want to find. And then we're going to multiply that by the outflow, because this is our expenditures. Okay, and to make this an array function, we will click Command Shift Enter. For PCs, that would be Control Shift Enter. Alright, so it looks like they found our number for us, so let's go check. 12/15, food, 150, perfect, so it did get the number. So I'm going to break this down a little bit for you guys just to explain what that's pretty much doing. So the first argument we had is that this date needed to equal this date. So let's make that an absolute reference because we don't want that to move. So let's see. Okay, and that says it's true. So we'll copy that down. And it stopped because there's a space still left. And we'll bring it all the way down. So now we can see, alright, for this date right here, the first two are true. So it is 12/15 and the rest are false. Alright, the second part of the equation, so if we look at it, this was the first part, and then category equals B12 is the second part. So for that part, we'll go over here and we want to see if this equals the category over here. And we want to make that an absolute reference. Alright, and so that's true. So let's check. Is this category food equal to this category food? And it is. So we'll copy this down, and we can see that, we found another food, and right here there's also another food. Alright, and then the last argument in our formula is the outflow. So we'll just go over here and we'll put all the outflows. So equals that, and we'll copy that down. So pretty much what the array function is doing is it's going, all right, let's make all these multiplied by each other. So we'll multiply this by this by this. So let's see what happens when we do that. So equals this times this times this. And we get, hold on, 150. And if we copy this down, we see that none of the arguments have two trues. So this one has two trues and times 150, so it's telling us it's 150. But this one, because it has a false in the argument, we don't want that. So when we multiply them together, we're saying this and this needs to be true before we multiply it by that. So anytime it has a false in the row, it makes it a 0, and you'll see that right here. So then once we use the array, we're pretty much saying equals the sum of all of these. Alright, so let's see what happens if we change this one to food. Alright, so we have true, true, times 25. Oh, look, and it added all that up for us. So that's pretty much what the array is doing. It's saying, if this is true and this is true, give me this number, and then add them all up. So instead of doing all this by hand, it does it in one formula. So let's see, oh, and it updated over here. So now let's continue, and we want to put this formula all over our spreadsheet. So we will need to make this, we need to make that absolute, so we want it to stay on 4 and move as we move over. And then right here we need to make the row absolute because we want it to move down as we move down. So, and then every time you click and modify your array function, when you go to exit it, you have to do it again. So Command Shift Enter, and now you can see the little squiggly lines. That's what happens when you do an array function. If you were to type those in, this function, it wouldn't work that way. You have to do Command Shift Enter or Control Shift Enter if you're using a PC. So now we can copy this over, and we see that, okay, we have $175 on 12/15, $8 on 12/17, and $25 on 12/19. So let's see. Okay, food, $175 on 12/15. Let's see, 12/17. Oh, it looks like we ate at Taco Bell, another $8, and let's see, 12/19. Oh, we ate at Cheesecake Factory, another $25. So it looks like it's calculating them up. So let's change this back to medical and see what happens. Alright, so did that decrease it to 150? Yes, it did. So we know that it's working. So now we can take these and copy them down, and it'll give us all the rest of the amounts. So now we can do a sum to get the totals for each day. Then we'll copy this over, and then we can get the total for each category over here. So equals sum, oops, and we'll add all of those up, and we'll bring this, copy this down. So we should have a total of $935 in the expenditures. If we look right here, I'll bold that. So let's go over here, and the expenditures are the outflow, so equals sum of outflow. And you can see that it highlighted everything for us. And so we'll press enter. 935, perfect, it matches up exactly what we wanted. Alright, so we can also do this for the income as well. So the only difference is that we're using the inflows instead of the outflows. So equals sum, and we're going to do date equals this times category equals this times the inflow. So pretty much what this is saying is I want you to circle through my transactions and see if the dates match up with these dates up here, and if the category right here matches up with these categories right here. If they do, then I want you to spit out the inflow and times them all together. So now we need to make this an array function, so Command Shift Enter or Control Shift Enter. And it looks like we didn't have any wages on the 15th. Let's check. 15th. Let's see. Nope, we just had food and medical expenses. So looks like we're doing good so far. So now if I copy this over, oh, it looks like we have a problem because we do have wages somewhere in there. So we know we have wages on the 19th, but it's not showing it. So the reason why that happened is because we didn't make our absolute references on the rows and the columns. So absolute reference here, absolute reference here, and now, oh, I forgot to do Command Shift Enter to make it an array function. Oh, looks like that didn't work either. I'll click in Command Shift Enter, and that should have made it an array. Perfect. So now we have the squiggly lines, we know it's an array, and we should be able to copy it over, and we should see $500 on the 19th. Let's make sure. The 19th, wages $500. Perfect. So now we can copy this down, and it'll copy all of the formulas for us. So let's see. We have 200 and 250, and I'm pretty sure that's all. So 250, 500, 200. Alright, and then we can add the totals for each day. So equals sum of this. And we can copy this over to figure out what our income was like for each day. And then we can also calculate what our income was like for each category. So sum of this. And our total was $950, so let's go over here and see if that was the total of our inflows. So equals sum of inflow, and you can see it already highlighted that for us, and we get $950. So there it is, it calculated them all right. Alright, so that's how you do an array function. Thank you.